California leads the way in the nation's agriculture. We produce millions of tons of produce per year, and the climate in much of California allows us to grow crops year-round. Yet in our state, 4.8 million people worry about where their next meal will come from.
And that's nice to donate all these boxes of food for the people who can't afford to get stuff at stores. I like getting like the oranges because a lot of the oranges are sweet. And then my mom, she picks out different things and then she'll show them to my dad, and then they'll find some recipes to cook them in.
I like the oranges too, they're tasty.
We now see when we're going out to public mass distributions of fresh fruits and vegetables, the enormous excitement that young people are having in having access to fresh fruits and vegetables, sometimes for the first time in their life.
Today, California food banks serve almost 2 million people each month. Growing to meet the ever-increasing need has not been easy. There have been challenges along the way, yet at each point, food banks have stepped forward to address these challenges.
Originally, food banks really focused on shelf-stable food that the food industry didn't need anymore. And as we've evolved, we've have moved to healthier, nutritious food that's better for our clients.
When you're distributing a highly perishable product, you really need an infrastructure, and you need the refrigerated space, you need the volunteers to be able to sort it, and you need to be able to distribute it within a few days. Otherwise, your costs skyrocket because you're dumping so much product, and that's very expensive.
1 in 10 people are in a situation where they are food insecure. They are not able to meet all their food needs. So our biggest challenge really is trying to bring in as much volume as we can to meet that large and growing need. The Farm to Family program really is critical to be able to bring in huge amounts of nutritious product for us to be able to, again, distribute to clients who may not have access to these items or just really can't afford them given their food budget.
California agriculture is incredibly diverse. We're certainly the #1 ag state for this past 50 years in the country. I think most all farmers would recognize that when they go and harvest a field, there's still product that's left behind. We used to call that the gleanings, if you will, the leftover after harvest. And that supply, if it can be brought back into a system, especially to help the poor, help with our nutrition challenges, that's fantastic. And I think that's what Farm to Family enables us to do, is re-tap into that surplus, that resource that's sitting there unused, and become part of a solution.
A lot of the product that we grow in the field, there's times we leave it in the field, and now we know there's a home for this product, and so then we'll actually harvest it. We like the feeling that this product is going to go to needy families.
The California Association of Food Banks runs the Farm to Family program and has had the responsibility for growing this program so rapidly over these past few years, and plays a critical coordination role in linking the growers with the food banks, and food banks getting that out to their community.
This product is top quality. The only difference between it and what you get in the supermarket is it's either too big, too small, it's got a little nick in it, maybe discolored a little bit.
For the first time in our history, we're not relying entirely on market surpluses, which means that the quantity, quality, and variety of food that we would normally get and be available to distribute would change dramatically from day to day. But in the Farm to Family program, we're actually provided information on goods that are available to us to order. So we can actually order what the community needs, and we know exactly what's going to come in.
Farm to Family has provided food banks with the opportunity to distribute truly nutritious, healthy food to people in need throughout the state. And prior to Farm to Family, that just was not the case.
Today, we all realize that fresh fruits and vegetables are vital to a healthy diet. This poses perhaps one of the greatest challenges for food banks to date: the real-time distribution of fresh produce.
The future of food banks is to continue to grow and tap into programs like the Farm to Family program so that we can bring in more fresh fruits and vegetables and meet the nutritional needs of our clients.
It means a lot because then I can add, when we're short on funds and we can't do all the shopping we'd like to. If we can come and get this free food, it means more healthy foods for my kids.
As we see the rise of the obesity and diabetes epidemic, we realize that nutrition does play a greater role in people's lifestyles. And I think especially for children as they're growing and learning, we need to make sure that they have access to healthy food. But for many low-income families on such a limited budget, they're either not able to afford it or they don't have access to it. So we have the responsibility as a food bank to ensure that they do have this fresh, healthy food that will help them grow and learn.
There's more.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
The CAFB has created a manual of best practices for delivering fresh produce via food banks. The manual offers food banks and large food pantries a variety of successful produce distribution models and some creative ways to fund them.
A couple of years ago, we started our pantry network, which has allowed us to have weekly pantries set up in every single neighborhood throughout the city, in areas where families naturally are going to come to congregate. So they're in churches, elementary schools, community centers, where people in a community will come together. And this has enabled us to have an outlet for all that fresh produce. So if we get a truckload of oranges in on a Monday, you're going to see them out at a pantry on Tuesday.
About 66% of the students at this school are on free or reduced lunch, which means that their parents are not able to afford a lunch for them at school. 66%, so more than half. I will always have kids come up to me and ask me if they can help. They do an assembly line.
We developed a partnership at the Mount Diablo Cares with the food bank because they had access to produce. We had access to families that were in need of produce, and it seemed like a good match.
The concept for this program was basically a program out of the back of a truck so that we could take it to a rural area like this in the mountains and basically be self-sufficient, not rely on our partners for a space like a building or electricity. We go out to rural sites that had challenges such as transportation issues, that families were going to have to go into town to get their groceries once a week, therefore buying less produce because it was more perishable. And the other component was we wanted to be at a place where families already go to for resources, because we knew that there were people there that we could recruit for volunteers. We knew that we had a lot of the overlap in the same clientele.
There's a tremendous amount of produce available, and there are a lot of needy people who need this help and need this type of food assistance. So the one constraint of this program is really funding. If we can find more funding and leverage that funding to grow the program, then that's going to be a win for California agriculture, and it's also going to help a lot of needy Californians.
It is something that is easy to share. Who doesn't want to be part of this great program that's helping thousands of families on a regular basis become healthier?
It's just incredibly rewarding to see the faces and to see the excitement that it creates.
If you talk to experts across the country, we have an epidemic in terms of obesity and the different diseases that are driven out of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and some of the other challenges there. And malnutrition, whether it's obesity or hunger, those are both manifestations of poor eating. And I think sustaining and supporting programs like Farm to Family is going to be very important, but I think people will see the importance of these programs and recognize that they're not costs as much as they're investments. They're investments in community, they're investments in health.
Ending hunger is not just providing people enough calories to make it through the day. We want to be able to provide them with healthy and nutritious food, so it truly will improve their lives.
Me and my family have been granted so much, and we know there's needy all around us that don't live near as well as we do. It's part of the duty that I feel that we need to do is give back to those that are in need.
How can we forget that our best investment is in the health of a citizen, and then what they eat is the basis of that health?
To learn more about how the Farm to Family program can partner with food banks in rural and urban areas, contact the California Association of Food Banks at 510-272-4435 or online at www.cafarmtofamily.org.